Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money and Brian Burke of Praxis Capital. And when we cut to the third and final commercial break, we asked this trivia question. In a 2006 wildcard game, this Dallas Cowboys holder bobbled the snap on a potential game-winning field goal. Who blew it? Come on, Brian.
Is that really a term?
Bobbled the snap?
Yeah,
sure.
is that real?
The snap.
That's
Yeah.
not a bobblehead.
I don't have the answer because I don't even understand the question.
Okay. Anyone?
This is a Stump the Host show.
It is.
It is,
Okay,
yeah.
you guys will know this. Hey, Tony Romo. Remember he
Tony
bobbled
Romo.
the snap when they were going to
That's
be
right, the quarterback.
quarterback? Yeah.
Tony Roma,
Catches
that's
the
one of those hamburger restaurants or something.
Tony Roma. Yeah, not Tony Roma. That is correct. Mike, before we cut the break, you wanted to ask Mark a great question.
Yeah, I did have a question, Mark, and that is what sorts of loan-to-value ratios do you look at for your properties?
Got it. We did talk a little bit about loan-to-value ratios in the last segment when I was answering a question about appraisals. And the private money lending industry generally holds to a maximum loan-to-value of 65%. Some will go a little bit higher, not many, and some will go only up to maybe 60%. There are even some private lenders out there that they fill the niche. Maybe they only go up to 55%, but in return you get more competitive rates and lower prices. So you really want to shop around. And so we don't really do the type of financing that many real estate investors remember back in the day, in the early 2000s, where you can get like an 80% purchase money mortgage and maybe even get a piggyback second and do 100% financing. We're not really in that game anymore. We really require our borrowers to have some kind of skin in the game, which requires them to either have their own capital, or oftentimes they have their own investors, so they can go out and find friends, family, acquaintances, and bring the capital in, and together they can approach us for a 65% purchase financing. But that's one of the reasons why we have a very strong list of investors, due to that security. So if you're on the investment side and you're looking at maybe funding a loan because you want to get that 8 to 10% fixed interest return on a 12 or 24 month financial instrument, that being a note secured by Bay Area real estate, it helps you sleep at night to know that the loan to value is not going to exceed 65% of today's value. Therefore, the market would have to drop substantially more for you to be at risk of losing principal. And right now, at least I tend to be in the camp that believes that most of the air has been let out of the real estate bubble, and that we're close to stabilizing in prices.
And before we forget, because when people hear 65% loan to value and they can get 8 to 10% on their money in today's market, they're going to want to call you. How do they get a hold of you?
Right, Pacific Private Money. We're in Marin County, based in downtown Novato, and you can find us on the web at pacificprivatemoney.com, or you can call us at 415-883-2150. That's 415-883-2150.
Or go to bestofinvesting.com. You'll see Mark's pretty face there, and you can click right on it.
So we were talking at the break a little bit about what's going on in the real estate market, and banks have been really slow to process their foreclosures over the last year after the robo-signing and paperwork scandal broke out, and then the subsequent Attorney General investigations and so on. And the foreclosures have really slowed down over the last 12 to 14 months. And as a result of that, there was a report that came out recently from Housing Tracker reporting that available for sale inventory, this is just conventional real estate for sale, in their 54 metro coverage area is now down 17.5% from the same week in 2010. So if this is true, then the inventory levels, the for sale inventory levels now, are below the levels of late 2005 when the market was at its peak. I think that we're going to see the inventory levels rise soon as foreclosures get back in business. And Mark, you and I were talking about this a little bit ago, and you found an article that seems to point to that.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of real estate investors, we've been waiting for that second wave or another wave of foreclosures. We were waiting for it in 2010 and it didn't come. We were waiting for it in 2011 and it didn't come. It looks as though the banks have been letting the the foreclosure inventory kind of trickle on the market. In fact, if anything, I think they've actually been holding back a little bit too much. I think that they've, as a result of holding back the last couple of years, it's going to really extend out the time in which it's going to take to go through this foreclosure inventory. But notwithstanding, what's happened this year, there was an article this week that talked about foreclosure sales slow for the holidays while lenders prepare for 2012. And what that essentially means is that, for the last 3 years running, the banks have kind of put, the brakes on kicking people out of their homes during the holidays. And it's not a laughing matter. I didn't mean to chuckle there. So courthouse step sales, auction sales, usually the month of December, are pretty lean. They're extending those. But what has happened is that the notice of sale filings actually increased 35% in November, year over year. And what that is the banks file the notice of trustee sale on a property that's been in foreclosure as they prepare to actually put that property on the auction for market. So they're gearing up for January.
So the first quarter is going to be pretty
well,
nasty.
it looks like that. And again, that's it's not good news if you're living in your home and not making the payment and hoping to live there as long as you can, which I know there's an awful lot of people doing, since the average foreclosure is now taking over 600 days nationwide. But the banks are gearing up, and if you're a real estate investor and you're wondering what happened to the foreclosure inventory, the shadow inventory that you keep hearing about, well, maybe this is coming. So get your capital lined up and get ready to hit those trustee sales, and hopefully the activity will pick up again in the first quarter of 2012.
That's more than just an empty article too. That's actually really true. We get our hands on each of these notices of trustee sale as they're recorded as part of our due diligence process in purchasing foreclosed property, and that's what our company does. And it's true, our workload has gone up substantially over the last couple of months as lenders have increased their filings of notices of trustee sale. The big question is really, do they sell these houses on the noticed auction date, or do they simply begin postponing those auction dates repeatedly, as they're very well known for doing, and they can continue to do that for up to 12 months after they record the notice of sale. So it'll be interesting to see, do they really go through with it, or is this just kind of filling up the hopper car for the next delivery?
Well, how often when you go to a trustee sale and you're ready to bid on a property, does it get postponed?
Well, we have about 1,800 sales per week on our foreclosure calendar, and I would estimate about 1,600, maybe 1,650 of those will postpone. So it's really a lot.
Is that
higher.
right? That's an amazing percentage. I've
Yes.
not read that. That's something that doesn't get reported a lot, but you're
No, it
right
doesn't.
there in the.
It's a lot of wasted time.
It is. We spend a lot of time doing due diligence on foreclosed properties that don't actually go to auction, but fortunately for us, we have a very good system of keeping track of all of our efforts in that due diligence process, and when it finally shows up, we're ready.
Do you ever approach the owner of the house?
We do, and a short sale is a great way for people to get out of the foreclosure with a little bit of dignity and leave on their own terms, and certainly we encourage people to consider that. But it's the lenders and now even judgment creditors are getting in the way of these short sales happening. I just had a deal the other day that looks like it's going to fall apart because the guy's credit cards filed a lawsuit against him and recorded a judgment lien, and now that the judgment lien is on there, title can't convey without the approval of the judgment creditors, and since they're not going to get anything, they're not going to approve anything. They're not going to take the time to do that work.
The first mortgage is foreclosing, though.
The first mortgage is foreclosing, and they can foreclose and wipe out the judgment creditor, but in attempting to do a short sale, they have to get the approval, and they're not approving them, so it's derailing the short sale over credit card debt, which is just ridiculous in my opinion.
Yeah, I've also heard that there's been some real weird stuff going out there with people who have liens behind other liens, and they're stopping situations.
There's all kinds of weird stuff going on. And Mark was right. The average loan in foreclosure now has been delinquent a record 631 days. So those stories that you hear about people not making their payments for 1 to 2 years are true.
That's amazing. All right, guys. Thanks again, Mike Zaildlin, for coming into the studio and teaching us about retirement. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Next week, we are going to have a special guest. She's an attorney who will talk about business formation, the ins and outs. So it'll be kind of neat to see, should you be a corporation, an LLC, a partnership? It'll be kind of fun.
Definitely.
And thoughts for the day. Why do Americans choose from just 2 people to run for president and 50 for Miss America? Interesting on that one. And whenever I fill out an application in the part that asks for who to notify in case of an emergency, I always put doctor. What's my mother gonna do? Okay, tune in next week to the Best of Investing. We're gonna be giving away 9 more free vacations for answering trivia questions. And we'll also announce the winner of the special trivia contest. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown, wishing you the best of investing. So long.
Okay, if everybody still sits with their headsets on, and